Is it really worth starting a family in America right now with high cost of living and with inflation, with all the division that we have going on? That's what I really want to talk about in this video, and I want to encourage you to share your thoughts about this down below. Let me know your honest opinion about this and what is your current, I guess you could say, lifestyle right now that you have or what you're going for. Because I want to talk about why I personally don't believe that it's worth starting a family in the United States right now. So I believe that life has become a lot harder in America and I think most Americans will agree with me on that. We're working a lot more than we've ever been. The average American is just just working endlessly with barely any time or energy afterwards to enjoy life. And what I noticed more and more is whenever I would go to work and I'd work at one of these regular jobs, the number one thing that I keep hearing from a lot of coworkers is, man, I can't wait to get off work so that I could just sleep basically. And I'm just gonna sleep the entire day, or I'm just gonna relax. I just wanna watch a good movie or play video games or listen to music, right? And it's kind of depressing when you think about it, because you just go through this cycle where you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And not to mention, for the average American right now, especially those that are in their 20s and 30s that are entering the workforce, it's barely enough to live comfortably on your own. So I'm seeing a lot more people that are around my age, late 20s, early 30s, that are unfortunately still living with their parents, and it makes it a lot harder to live a comfortable lifestyle when you're working all these hours, but it's not really paying off. And I'm even seeing more people that are making more money than they've ever had. Even people that are that have gotten these high paying careers, or they went into a trade, or people that they work an extra 10 or 20 hours a week doing Uber or DoorDash on top of a 9 to 5 job. I'm seeing even a lot of those people struggle to make ends meet every single month. And it's very depressing when you think about it, because oftentimes it's people that are just getting by on their own. This is without, having a wife or husband or having kids. And when I look at all that, for me, just the whole concept, just the whole thought of having kids and having my own place and, trying to support anyone else on top of myself just seems like a massive headache. And it's unfortunate because I don't want to buy into the whole nihilistic black pill, just screw everything else, right? But during these times, it's very hard not to fall into that mindset. And I kind of understand why a lot more people are just kind of I guess you could say, opting out of society, or just kind of mentally checking out, where they just kind of don't really care that much. And for one, you have the cost of getting married. So I see couples that are going into debt for just for their wedding day, when that money should be going towards their kid. So I never understood that. And then, when it comes to getting married and then having kids, that's a whole other expense in itself. And so if you wanted to have kids in the West right now, you have to have 6 or 7 figures per kid that you have, I think. I don't know. It's absolutely insane. I haven't exactly done all the math, but you got to pay for groceries. You got to pay for food. You have to pay for school, then you got to pay for you got to pay for other things for them, their phone bill as well. And so all of these things, they just add up. And so, not to mention the amount there's also the high risk of divorce. And I believe it's 50% of marriages today in the West, they don't last. They end in divorce. And most of the time, from what I've seen, it is the woman that initiates the divorce. I think it's over 50% of marriages. And then of the other 50% that stays together, most marriages are just not happy in the long term. I think it's 3% of all marriages, out of those that stay together, end up actually being happy, like after a couple of years. So yeah, it's this trend that I keep noticing. And so I believe a lot of that could be the result of, stress over money, or it's also, I believe, the result of, the constant hookup culture. So nobody knows who to trust anymore. And I also notice oftentimes infidelity rates have gone way up. So it's kind of, we're living in a society where we don't know who to trust, to, be with long term. And then if you do happen to, find the right person and, you're both loyal together, then there is the massive insane cost of living, living comfortably and then also trying to raise a kid. And so the other thing that I really think about when it comes to having kids is, what you're passing on is the lifestyle that you're living onto your future son or daughter. So you might be working 40 hours a week right now at a job, and maybe that itself is enough for you to get by. Maybe you found a really high paying position. However, when you look at the constant rise of inflation and the cost of living in general, it seems to only be getting worse. And so unless if some huge miracle happens, the way that I look at it is it's probably going to be a lot worse in the next 10 or 20 years. So let's say that you have a kid right now, it's probably going to be a lot worse by the time that, your future son or daughter is in their 20s and they start working, right? They get a regular job. Who knows? Most of these positions might not even exist with AI taking over, a lot of these positions. I hope that's not the case, but it seems like we're heading that way. So, the way that I look at it is you really got to prioritize making as much money as you can. That's really the best thing that I could, of course, recommend to the average person right now. If you are single and you don't currently have kids, then I believe in a way that you're actually winning, just because of the fact that you have a lot less stress to worry about compared to, the couple that's, together and they have one or multiple kids that they're trying to raise because, they're trying to make ends meet, right? And they don't have as much time to learn other skills. It's not like they can just, go back to a trade school or learn another skill. It's not like they have as much time for that because they got to take care of their kid. They got to worry about bills. They don't have as much money to invest. If you are a young person right now and maybe you live with your parents, maybe you have a bit extra, cash flow that you could, spare. I believe that the best thing that you could do in that position is invest that money into learning a skill or starting some sort of business, preferably online, because then you can make money anywhere in the world. And I would highly recommend going that route and maybe try to gain location freedom before settling down with someone, right? And I especially recommend that if you are a guy watching this, because you want to position yourself in an environment where there is the least amount of risks that you could take when it comes to actually having kids, right? So the other thing that you have to worry about is if you get married and if you're a guy, your wife can divorce you at any time for any reason at all. She gets bored. If she finds someone else and thinks that the grass is greener somewhere else, then she could leave you anytime. And next thing you know, then you're paying child support on a kid that's not even yours. And so I see that dynamic playing out way more often today than before. And it's just it's almost like a death sentence for men to, go through that path almost. So yeah, a lot of risks, a lot of hurdles that you got to jump over when it comes to trying to follow that traditional life that your parents and grandparents followed. It's a lot more risky and it's a lot harder to achieve that than ever before. So best thing you could do, minimize the expenses as much as you can. Try to live as minimal as you can, but always be focusing on making as much money as you possibly can. Try to build multiple income streams and see if you can achieve some level of location freedom to where you can live wherever you want. And maybe you decide to live in a place where cost of living is a lot less. Maybe there is a lot less crime and you can get a nice place either somewhere in the West. Maybe you decide to live in an RV or live in your car or live off grid. If you go one of those alternative type of lifestyles. And if you happen to find someone that is, cool with that lifestyle, which I know women in general, they don't want to, be with a guy that lives with his parents or lives in his car or something. They typically want their own place. So that's a whole other thing that you gotta, work around as well. So I would also recommend looking into maybe living overseas, maybe having another home base outside the West. And I believe that's one of the benefits of making an income online is you can live wherever you want. So if you want to see what I'm doing to earn an income online, then you can check out the link down below and you can learn more about what I do. And the benefit is you can simply do that on the side of your 9 to 5, just a couple hours a day, and just focus on marketing. That's really all it is. You're just promoting digital products, and it's a very simple way that you can build up to a full-time income online. It's one of the simplest ways, I believe, of making money as far as today goes. So check that out if you want to learn more. Otherwise, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Give us a thumbs up and take care. All the best.